All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the halftime show as your South Florida Bulls lead the number 24 Cincinnati Bearcats 17-14 at the half. Shocking would be an understatement. I think, Seth, the first things first. USF hasn't done it in a gimmicky way, which I think may be sustainable. Is that kind of fair, or am I reading too much into it?
I mean, first let's start. Well, let's give it up for a first half lead. we did it. We're here. But yeah, no, it looks a lot more like it looks to me like the same game plan as the Florida game, where you've got a ton of quarterback run and misdirection, and you're giving the defense a much tougher picture of things that are going to happen before the snap and after the snap. Obviously, the defense you kind of luck out here. You see the advanced stats here. Cincinnati's offense advanced stats are unbelievable, really, besides the turnover. And then kind of running out of time there at the end of the half. So you're going to have to cash in every time you get down there if you're USF, if you want a chance to win the game. Right. Otherwise, I don't know if you hold on with the way your defense is playing. You're getting some stops, but that doesn't seem to be sustainable.
Yeah, as you see, Cincinnati starting at their own 35-yard line. That includes, I think, them starting at the USF 41 or 31, something like that, on one of their scoring drives. It's that part's been not great, outside of the two interceptions to start the game and to end the half. I think Ben Bryant's 8 for 8 with 102 yards, something like that, with 2 touchdowns. So the window dressing on the Matt Hill interception at the end of the half looks great for USF's side, but doesn't really tell the complete story. I think the thing I'm most excited about, or happy to see come to fruition, is the offenses look really good for the first half. The only times they really kind of shot themselves in the foot was just those same mistakes, missed a couple of blocks when after the Brian Petit, I think it was after the Brian Petit kickoff return, they missed a couple of blocks on second and third down, and it really put them in a bad spot. Other than that, they've been efficient. They've been able to run the ball. The QB run with Gary Bohannon has been fantastic, and there's really not much else you can say. I want to pull up some of the player numbers real quick. So Gary's 6 for 11, 76 yards and a touchdown. You couldn't have put that corner route to Xavier Weaver in a better spot, literally right in the bucket. The thing we always talk about, dropping it right in the bucket, that was fantastic. Brian Petit, 13 carries, 57 yards, that 22-yard touchdown run. Seeing a lot of Kawan Powell, which has been nice to see with Jaron Mangum and Mikey Dukes out. Not so much for Jimmy Horn so far, which has been interesting. Weaver had a great catch that led to that third score for the Bulls. 3 catches, 51 yards. So your wheel of offense is working.
The wheel, baby. Just let the wheel call plays. The wheel knows. So the wheel is just I thought, I was also glad. I think the refs are so quick to call targeting that it was nice to see them not call that last hit targeting. And then offensively for USF, you're kind of doing exactly what you want to do. You're holding the ball a little bit. Again, look at the plays from scrimmage. USF's got 40, Cincinnati's got 19 turnovers, and then being able to convert third downs offensively lets you hold the ball and really limit the game. This is really the same recipe they followed to beat Florida, or to play Florida tight. So if they can kind of keep that going to the second half, I don't know if they'll kind of keep being able to generate those turnovers, but if you can and generate some more stops and kind of hold the ball on offense, you're going to be in for a good second half here. Let's add in a third member here. We had Colin in the pregame. We've got Brian here.
Welcome to the halftime show, Senator Giggity. How you doing?
I would just like to say congratulations to first half champion, Coach Jeff Scott.
Off the schneid.
Turn it around.
I don't know who this team is, but I'd like to see them more often.
Yeah, I think this offense is. I think you can see more of that in the second half. Defensively, that might be as good as you're going to get there. So hopefully you can hang on here. I think in the second half.
After the Florida game, as somebody who sat through the entirety of the McNeese State game, and I made myself sit through it, that Florida game, I thought honestly broke me because I was just like, fuck it, I'm out. I don't care anymore. But yeah, it's nice to see USF, play up to their potential. We've always had this thing where we play up or down to our opponent. Unfortunately, we're not in the best conference, so we always tend to play down. But right now, we're looking pretty good. We're not, exactly where I'd want to be, but it's a shitload better than it's been.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Seth and I, we've talked about this multiple times. The offensive plays have been there this season. It's just they tend to get down by so much that it doesn't. No one really cares anymore that the offense is kind of producing. It was the same thing last week. You go down 41-7, but the offense kind of moved the ball pretty well.
And it's hard to tell, is the offense moving the ball well because they're talented, which I think we've thought they are talented and they're executing, or is it just because teams are up so big they're kind of playing off and kind of letting you do stuff? But it seems to be like the former, that it's a pretty talented group, and when they're on, they can kind of make plays on just about anybody.
Yep. Dwayne Boyles has 8 tackles, tackle and a half for loss as well. Tamarcus Simpson's got 3 tackles. I think really the bad part of this game is that the defense is still pretty atrocious. On that second touchdown by Cincinnati, you get just a wide open tight end, and Josh Wiley goes scampers for 19 yards on third down. Very next play is a back shoulder touchdown throw, and Bob Shoop and this defense needs to figure it out, or it's going to be very, very hard for USF's offense to maintain possession for as long as they had. They had the ball for 21 minutes in the first half. It's a recipe for success, but it's going to be tough to really duplicate that for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I think I thought Larry had a good comment that this is kind of what your defense is going to be. I think you're going to have to be high variance on defense. So, be aggressive. They've been aggressive most of the year, but if you can generate turnovers or big TFLs, that's kind of going to be where you get stops, is when you can get people in bad down and distance. If you just kind of sit and play, I think Cincinnati is going to get in a groove. And really, it's turnovers and kind of running up against the clock are the only things that really stopped them in that first half, right? That first play, he had the receiver. He just underthrew it really poorly. And then the second one, obviously you're just throwing at the end of the half. So your other drive, and I think USF had one stop in there in between. But, this is going to be a game where you've got to – I would fully expect them to come down and score Cincinnati to start the first half. And then USF's got to go down and respond. And then if you can hold the ball, give your defense a chance to regroup, you've got a chance to come out with a really, really big win. Hopefully the offense can kind of stay the course, because I think the defense is going to be under a lot more duress this second half.
Agreed. I was just kind of looking at the drive stats. Cincinnati's 2 touchdowns. They were 6 plays, 75 yards, super efficient, 2.5 minutes. And then the second one was 6 plays, 45 yards, 3 minutes. After that, flip the field kind of scenario. They did get, after USF scored, they did get, technically they did get 2 consecutive stops. They bumped up into halftime, but they did force a Cincinnati punt, around midfield, which is a good sign. I think USF probably needs to be prepared a little bit more for Cincinnati to air the ball out a little bit. They've been very successful throwing the ball. You're seeing the successful plays, the situational here. 70% of their successful plays have been through the air. Even with the interceptions, Ben Bryant's a very good quarterback and more than capable to kind of pick apart a pretty porous defense. We'll see if Tyler Scott comes back for the Bearcats. We kind of highlighted him in the preview and in the pregame show. He kind of got rolled up on like an 8-yard gain by McClelland, but he is their go-to wide receiver. Who he's had a pretty quiet day for the most part. I think Trey Turner has been the the guy so far, or excuse me, Trey Tucker has been the guy so far. But we'll see how that kind of figures into the second half here.
Yeah, and Colin mentioned. Sorry, just to jump in. Colin mentioned before the game that USF's rush defense EPA per rush, they're giving up almost a third of a yard per rush. So when you rush the ball 3 times, you're going to pick up a expected point. Well, right now, per drop back for Cincinnati, they're picking up almost a point every time they drop back to pass. 0.92 points per drop back. So I think you're going to see a steady diet of pass in the second half.
Have we really run exactly twice as many plays as they have?
Yeah, just about.
Well, it says 46, 23. That's I went to USF, so my math isn't great. So.
I've got it 39-21 through the stat broadcast.
Oh. This isn't part. This is game on paper. It kind of updates from ESPN, so sometimes it's out of whack.
Gotcha.
It's late to update, but this is pretty close in terms of the. I think the advanced numbers are pretty close in terms of like per play numbers. But
well, I am excited to see if we can finish the drill or if we just completely shit the bed. I have seen both. I'd like to see more one than the other.
Agreed. But I think completely unprecedented, quite frankly, under Jeff Scott for this team to even have a lead at halftime. So that's a start. I mean, Cincinnati's the 24th ranked team in the country for a reason. You're going to fully expect them to put up points here today. Still in the second half, I could still see them rattling off 35 second half points with relative ease.
Yeah, well, that would be something, but it's very possible. I think one thing that's really interesting from the first half is not a ton of havoc plays for Cincinnati. Right, they came in, I think, top 5 or 10 in the country in terms of tackles for loss, and they've got I think Ivan Pace is one of the top 10 in the country in sacks or tackles for loss. So, that guy's they're pretty good at doing that, and they haven't really been able to generate those against USF. So
no, just 6 total for the team, but they've only really lost 9 yards, which is not terrible. No, I don't think they have a sack. And Cincinnati came into this week leading the nation in sacks with 23. They had 50 tackles for loss coming into today. So pretty impressive how the USF offensive line and offense has been able to execute. We'll see if Dustin Hall stays at center. That was a late second quarter development. Will Turner, man on the ground there, spotted that. Mike Lofton shifted from right tackle to right guard, and now Darrell Bailey Jr. is in at right tackle. So we'll see how that kind of shakes out the right side of the line in the second half here.
Yeah, and if you want to control the clock, you're going to need to be able to run the ball a little bit. So those guys will have to continue playing well, and we'll see if those moves kind of have an impact on how USF's able to move the ball on the ground.
Yep. Final thought for me, and we'll get back in. I think the second half should be starting here pretty soon. There's been a lot of 2nd and 4s, 2nd and 5s for USF offense. That's the best way to continue this momentum, is avoiding third downs. The best way to convert third downs is to not have any third downs. And they were able to do that a few times, converting on, 2nd and shorts, 2nd and mediums. Let's keep that going, and we should have a fun second half in store. We'll be here with the post-game show and after the press conference, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Senator, anything to say on the way out here?
I mean, hopefully Cincinnati doesn't realize and make adjustments and, throw through the air for 400 touchdowns on us. But hey, if we can't be good, we can at least be chaotic.
There you go. And my last thing is no more red zone field goals. Go score touch. Don't kick a field goal on 4th and 4 from the 4-yard line. Score touchdowns. You're going to need touchdowns to win this game.
Yep.
All right. About to kick off.
All right. See ya. Go Bulls.